all the instructions.
Good.
Okay. Then we have the line. Oh, you told me something there. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was third rails.
I'll show you pictures when we get back here. I'll show you.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
This is a Z Express to 145th Street, next stop is West Walk Street. And clear the closing doors, please. Northbound train is doing Westwood.
Do I have a TSS at J Street that's coming from?
carrying line.
This is a D train to 145th Street. The next stop is 11th Avenue, 53rd Street. And clear the closing doors, please.
Wish it was in the end. Because if you look for the story, it's way easier to turn the beach.
Hey, Lazar, how are you? I got it.
This train's only saving.
Good. dispatch to Open Saturday.
145th Street bound, the express train. The next stop is 125th Street.
All right, got it.
And clear to close the doors, please. 145th Street. Step all the way in and clear the closing doors, please.
He took like 145th Street to
What's that?
Whistle.
Well, he's supposed to because people aren't expecting a train on the middle of the track.
Look, he turned off, right? He's looking at the dirt. He turned off, right?
What's that? What they can also do is here. Yeah. All right, we're good.